your body sway, baby. My voice has you gliding. Feel it. Whispers in your ear. Feel the thrill as they're colliding. Steamy tone, sultry breeze. Oh, it's got you mesmerized. Follow the sound, darling. I'll touch you where it tantalizes. Ooh, feel it, baby, nice and slow. Yeah.
I just gave him a taste.
I feel more tingling now.
Oh, wow.
The second time with the video.
Oh,
Yeah.
goodness.
No.
Well, hello,
Should've gone off
everybody.
camera.
Feeling a little hot now.
Moist.
Yeah, Jenny.
Moist.
Grab the strap on.
Ew.
The funny.
What?
Why?
Hey, I'm just reading the comments, guys.
Shame. Oh, for shame. How are you guys doing this evening? Oh my gosh, you guys ready for the new year? This year, I don't think could get any
No.
crazier.
No, not ready.
This
Didn't
year
it
is
happen like
going
a
to
couple
take
of weeks
forever.
ago or something?
It's going to take forever.
You think?
Oh, it just goes on and
What?
on.
Well, we were talking about this earlier today. It's like you had the weekend, then holiday day, then the weekend, then another holiday day, and then the weekend. It's just, it's so discombobulated
Yeah.
It's a lot.
that it's just.
Well, and then we were going basically since Thanksgiving. I mean,
Right.
Thanksgiving was really the kickoff. I mean, we had like fucking 3-4 Christmases. It was absolutely insane. And then
Right.
when Christmas Day came, I was like, oh shit, it's actually Christmas Day.
Right.
This shit isn't over yet.
We still got another week of this
I was like,
crap.
fuck, we got to go somewhere again. God.
Oh. And then, of course, you have New Year's, which is going to be insane.
Yeah.
Oh, so speaking of New Year's, I pulled up this really interesting book, and it's very used to use. It's called the Yule Logman's Christmas Annual for 1898.
Oh, how historic.
Mm.
Interesting.
Mm.
And so it's a bunch of like shorter stories, and I don't know, it seemed pretty interesting.
Hmm.
I was like, we'll give it a try, see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some
So-
interesting words in there.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'll kick this thing off. And chapter 1, it was a grand success. Everyone said so, and moreover, everyone who witnessed the experiment predicted that the mermaid would revolutionize naval warfare as completely as did the world famous monitor. Professor Rivers, who had devoted the best years of his life to perfecting his wonderful invention, struggling bravely on through innumerable disappointments and failures. Well, they make a pill for that now.
That's going to happen at your age.
Mhm.
Yeah, it
What happened?
does. Undaunted by the sneers of those who scoffed, as they should, whenever your balls hang lower than, or the significant pity of his friends. Those are some true friends. They have pity on him.
Yeah.
I just can't wait to hear about the torpedoing.
Again and again and again.
Torpedoes in the water.
Look out for the cannonballs.
Backs to the Indian
Oh,
Islands.
no.
Are those floaters or sinkers?
I'm going to shoot him in the rear, Captain.
Shark bait. Ooh-ha.
Ooh.
Or he was so overcome by his signal triumph that he fled from the congratulations of those who sought to do him honor, leaving his young assistants the responsibility of restoring the marvelous craft to her berth in the great ship house that had witnessed her construction. Those assistants were 2 lads, 18 and 19 years of age, who were not only the professor's most promising pupils, but his firm friends.
Firm
And
friends.
They were firm and ardent admirers. The younger Carlos West Moranza
My name
was
is
the only
Carlos.
son of a
Hello.
I want to make love to you. All of you.
Muy caliente.
Don't worry, there is enough Carlos for everyone.
It's all those boys'
I'm a
schools
Latin
back
lover.
then.
Yeah, there was a lot of Boy Scouts.
Angela.
He was the only son of a
Burrito.
sugar planter burrito and an American mother who had died while he was still
Enchilada.
too young to remember her sad
Cinnamon
story.
twist.
From the earliest childhood, he had exhibited so great a taste in machinery that when he was 16, he developed the Sibian. His father sent him to the United States to be educated as a mechanical engineer in one of the best technical schools of that country.
Nice.
There, his dearest chum was his classmate, Carl Baldwin, son of famous shipbuilder John Baldwin and heir to the latter's vast fortune. The elder Baldwin had founded the school in which his own son was now being educated and placed at its head his lifelong professor, Alphys Rivers, who, upon his patron's death, had also become Carl's sole guardian.
Just not in the face.
Anyone else hear Baldwin and suddenly hear
Yes!
in the
Yes!
head?
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking about.
That's like not in the face.
No.
At first, I thought he was going to say Albus Dumbledore, but it
You
wasn't.
killed him.
How dare you?
No, you don't get top billing.
It was the wrong school.
I did it again.
In appearance and disposition, young Baldwin was the exact opposite of Carlos Moranza. Carlos Moranza.
Carlos.
You have to say it twice to get the
My
full
name is
effect.
Carlos.
Carlos.
And it was this, as well as the similarity of the names, that had first attracted the lads to each other. While the young Cuban was a handsome fellow, slight of figure, with clear olive complexion, impulsive, and had a rash that was almost, he had rash, almost to recklessness.
There's a cream for that.
The other was a typical white boy, big,
White boy.
fair-eyed, blue-eyed, rugged in feature, slow to act, but
Fabio.
clinging with bulldog tenacity to any idea or plan that met with his favor. He invariably addressed his chum as West, while the latter called him Carol.
Ooh.
Why would you call him
Oh.
Carol?
Come here,
Okay.
Carol.
What'd
I'm
you call him?
intrigued.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
call you
hey,
by a
Carol.
girl's name.
Well,
Carol, how you
Hey, I
doing?
think this is sounding really gay.
in Cobra,
I'm
was it,
Hey!
was
I'm
it
more
Cobra?
south than I am west, but I guarantee, Carol, you make it go north.
Oh, God.
Hey, don't make fun of women's names for guys. Remember, was it Sylvester Stallone in Cobra? His name was Alice, I think, or something like that.
Marion.
Marion.
Cabretti.
There you go. All right.
Well, I mean, there's other famous dudes. That have,
John
had
Wayne's real
women's
name
names,
was
like,
Marion.
Was it
Carol
really?
Shelby.
Yes.
Oh, I
and-
didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll say.
Huh.
Oh gosh, what was his name? The guy who was in charge of the Flying Tigers.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I know the
Right.
name.
Yeah.
Well, I was
That's cool.
given some information. It says Carlos.
Carlos.
Claire Chenault. That's the name. Claire Chenault.
The river's submarine boat, finally christened Mermaid, had been evolved during long years in the Great Baldwin shipyard located on the Delaware, less than a mile distance from Baldwin Technical School. And during his lifetime, John Baldwin had taken shots to the face, had taken a deep interest.
Well, they didn't teach gun safety, that's for sure.
That's for damn sure. Thus, Carlos had been familiar with its every detail from the time that he could remember anything, and had grown up with an abiding faith in its possibilities. That his chum was also enthusiastic, so special, concerning it constituted one of the strongest bonds of sympathy between them. Now, it was a complete success, had been demonstrated for hours of trial. During most of the time, it had been maneuvered underwater with a party of 6 distinguished engineers on board. Carl's elation was only a little less than that of the inventor, whose very life was bound up just like he was.
Don't knock it till you
Little
try
as
it.
him. Okay.
Wow.
All them
Okay.
sweaty men's in a cramped small space.
All just bound up. They can't go nowhere, and there's nothing they can do about it.
And all their
Like
strength
him,
needed.
The lad was slow to express his deepest feelings, but the enthusiasm of the day found ample vent through the young Cuban, who had been permitted to share in the glorious results, and who poured forth his exultation in a torrent of words as the two lads left the shipyard, wended their way homeward.
He was
Oh,
just
you
so
would like a
excited.
cigar.
Uh-huh.
I think Fallstorm has the voice for this one.
Oh.
Which voice?
This is the Cuban guy.
He's Cuban.
It is the crowning triumph of the century, my Carol, and will make immortal the name of our honored instructor. To have lived this day and to be allowed a share in such glory is a vast privilege. Of war, what a revolution will be made. Oh, if my poor country possessed but one of these marvels, how quickly she'd be free. To destroy the ships of Spain, Spanish bastards, and open to the world every Cuban port. What an achievement, what honor. Carol, what may it not be done? Why may we not take this mermaid and with her liberate Cuba from her centuries of slavery?
Hit that one, Yamaha. You'd hit Carl.
Because, answered Carl Baldwin slowly, she is not ours to take. And even if she were, we would not be allowed to use her in any such fashion. The government would not permit us.
Oh,
What
but
if
if
she
she
wants to be used?
but if she were ours, if the professor were consent to allow us the experiment, if we could escape the vigilance of the American cruisers and manage to convey our marvel of marvels to the scene of the action, would you not join in the enterprise, my Carol? Would you not aid in striking the blow for freedom?
Blow for freedom, baby. Blow.
Wow.
Blow for freedom, honey.
Blow for freedom, yes.
You got something on your chin.
Wipe my face here a little bit.
Let me just wipe this off.
Just have that protein shake.
It would certainly be most interesting to test the little craft in actual service, replied the young American cautiously.
Interesting, say you. It is of vital importance. What she has done is nothing. Who knows what she may accomplish? When will there come another such chance for trying her in warfare? Where in the world is there such a prize to be gained equal in value to that of a free Cuba? That my father has sacrificed all his life itself for her is my proudest boast. That I may soon fight by his side, my fondest hope. Oh, if you cold-blooded Americans could but witness the cruelty, the oppression, the despair, the honor of it all. But if I cannot win over my dearest friend among them, how may I hope to persuade others? Oh, Dios, my madre de Dios! It is hard.
So hard.
It is bitter. It is pitiful. That but for want of a single helping hand, all should be lost. But I really do need the helping hand, if you know what I mean.
Stranger, stranger.
Yeah, Zook, this dude is poetic, isn't he?
At this
But it
point,
tastes like
young
pineapple.
Cubans-
My safe word is pineapple juice.
Schooner,
that with a mouthful.
schooner.
At this point, the young Cuban's feelings so overpowered him that words failed to express them. And as Carl Baldwin's policy was to remain silent during these outbursts, the lads reached the school building in which they lodged without further conversation. Since Carlos
name is
Maranza
Carlos.
had left home, the
Carlos.
affairs of his native land
I
had come
see,
to a
mommy.
sorry pass. The struggle for freedom had begun. Spanish armies devastated the fair island, killing its inhabitants, laying waste to their fields and destroying their homes, while Spanish
bastards!
ships patrolled its coasts, cut off all outside aid from the insurgents.
You think
The
this is
latter
bad?
Where I
Wait till the
struggled,
communists
I
show up.
swear I did.
Well, no, the communists showed up later. This is what
I said,
Yeah.
okay, I said, if you think this is bad, wait till the communists show up.
yeah.
See,
It gets crazy.
see.
Yeah, it's like,
The latter
yet again,
devoid
not
of-
everybody hears exactly what I said.
What?
What?
You say something?
I can't
hear
get the interference. I don't know what's going on here.
I can't understand what you just said.
I don't know. All
I just
heard
smell
was-
pineapple.
My safe word is pineapple juice.
Pineapple juice, pineapple juice.
My safe word is Hooters.
And if I see them, I go.
If I see them, I say, hello, mommy.
Hey, papi.
Hey, mommy.
Ay, ay,
Ay,
ay.
ay, ay, caramba.
Ay,
Muy
caramba.
caliente.
The latter, devoid of nearly everything necessary for carrying on a war, save a desperate determination to resist death, occupied the interior of the land, where they found impregnable strongholds amid its rugged mountains and dense forests. The sympathies of the American people were with them, and expeditions for relief were constantly fitting out in the southern ports of the United States. Many of these failed to reach their destination, since international law compelled the government to prevent them from sailing if possible. Thus, in addition to Spanish fleet patrolling the Cuban coast, the southern waters of the United States were guarded by an equally numerous fleet of American men of war and vessels of its revenue marine.
Ooh,
From the very
protection.
outset of the war, Don Cesar Maranza, after placing his only daughter,
Aye.
Tina,
Katina.
who was 2 years younger than Carlos, in what he conceived to be a safe retreat, had linked his fortunes with those who fought for liberty. He had quickly risen to the command of the Cuban army, and as General Maranza, the
Morada.
dashing cavalry leader, proved such a terror to the Spaniards that to capture him became an important object of their campaigns. With all the impetuous of his nature, Carlos longed to take part in his glorious struggle, and in every letter that he found means of transmitting to his father, pleaded to be allowed to join him. Thus far, his petitions had been denied on the ground that he would have ample opportunity for fighting after he became a skilled engineer. In the meantime, he could do much for the cause where he was, and must remember that to perfect himself in his chosen profession would be of a greater value to Cuba than the winning of the battle.
It is
The stimulus-
pronounced Cuba.
Cuba,
Cuba.
Cuba, Cuba, like Puerto Rico. The stimulant was
Puh! Spit
made.
on the Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
The stimulant was what made young Maranza one of the most brilliant scholars in the Baldwin Polytechnic, for he felt that every problem solved was a blow struck for his
Blow me.
At the time of the mermaid's successful trial trip, in which the young Kuban had been allowed to participate in distinguished reward of merit, he had received no word from his father or sister for many weeks and was so filled with anxiety concerning them. And as the lads reached the schoolyard, they separated. Carlos proceeded directly to his room, and the other going in search of Professor Rivers to report the safe housing of the mermaid. The professor was so buried in his thought that for a few moments he apparently took no notice of Carl's entrance. Suddenly, lifting his head and looking squarely at the lad, he exclaimed, Kaiser.
Yes, I'm still here. I'm just trying to make sure the crying I hear from my kid in the other room is not something I have to go check out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. Doesn't he have another parent? Come on, man.
Well, yeah, she's in there right now, but I'm just waiting for the shouting of my name.
No, I totally get it. I totally get it.
He's waiting for the sound of the staple gun to stop.
Okay, who am I reading?
You're reading the professor. Professor Rivers.
Oh, Professor Rivers, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I must go ahead and use my professor voice, I suppose. This kind of works. Yes, yeah. Right. Yes, my boy, all is well so far as we've gone, but what will she do in actual service? How will she behave in the face of the enemy? Will she fight them on the beaches, in the air, on land?
That's the wrong war, sir.
Not against a fleet. Until these questions are answered, how may I know whether my life work is a success or failure? To solve them, I would willingly engage a navy in single combat, but where may I find one willing to accept my challenge?
But why not in Cuba, sir? Suggested Carl with a sudden inspiration.
Cuba?
Repeated the professor slowly, as though bewildered by an idea thus presented, and then plunged once more.
I only like them for the sandwiches.
And the women. We love the women.
And some fine cigars. Mm-hmm.
After waiting a few moments longer and seeing that his guardian was disinclined for further conversation, just then Carl Baldwin departed to tell his friend of the seed he had planted deep inside the professor. To his dismay, he found Carlos standing as though petrified and staring with bloodshot eyes at a telegram, evidently just received.
What is it, West? What happened?
Inquired young Baldwin anxiously.
Scully.
Read it. Go ahead and read this. I cannot read in the English, no.
With this, he extended the message, which was signed by the president of the Cuban Junta, or War Committee, whose headquarters were also in New York City.
Who's reading it?
I can read it.
Yeah, do it, Diva.
General Miranza captured by treachery and shot by order of Weyler. His daughter seized, imprisoned, and held for transportation to penal colony.
Oh
May
my.
God help you in this hour of your affliction.
I see Miranza, and I just want to say Montezuma's Revenge. I don't know why.
Revenge.
Maranza. For my father's death, I grieve not, cried the young Cuban. He died for the cause he loved, and he will be avenged. My name is Indigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
I get so excited.
But
when
for
you say
my
that.
sister, my own little Katina in prison, at the mercy of those animals, those brutes. and consigned to the living death of a convict. How may I bear it? What can I do? How will my heart go on? Tell me, my friend, for I am going mad.
No. Cried Carl Baldwin.
It six.
You shall not.
Just go ahead and swallow. It'll be easier.
You shall not go mad,
Up your throat a little bit.
nor even yield to despair, for we will yet save her. The professor shall go with us, and Marianne and Ginger too, because we'll use them as cannon fodder. Bitches.
The
And
billionaire
We
and
will
his
take the
wife.
mermaid and we'll torpedo them hard and fast. Even now, he is inclined to consider them such an undertaking. What? Oh, and when he reads this message, he will be ready to set forth as you or I. Oh, yes, my dear fellow. We can rescue her, and we will. Instead of going to a penis colony. Going to a penal colony.
It sounds
She shall.
exciting.
And just hang around. She shall come to this country and be as free as you are at this moment. Like monkeys on a vine will just swing around on that penis colony.
As he spoke, the young American seized his friend's hand and placed his penis in it. And the latter looked into the brave blue eyes, now blazing with excitement. Ooh, believe it, he's saved.
I've been pent up for weeks.
So frustrated.
You want to read for a little bit there, Diva? Or
Yeah, let Diva. Let Diva.
Yeah.
yes.
Chapter 2. The submarine boat Mermaid was a cigar-shaped shell of aluminum bronze.
Long
Oh,
and
yes,
thick.
it was.
Extremely light and strong, about 40 feet in length and 8 in its great diameter. On its upper side
It's
was
8
a
inches
small-
around.
Take a deep breath. It's going to pinch a little.
Just
You gotta
breathe.
feel its blood pressure.
Just breathe and let it happen.
On its upper side was a small railed platform or deck, from the center of which rose a low turret, provided with 4 bullseyes, from which an observer might glance out ahead, astern, or on either side. Another bullseye was fitted into the hinged and watertight cap that closed the turret when the boat was submerged.
So what you're saying is it's right below the tramp stamp.
Oh, my God.
It's like a bullseye on her back.
I walks my deck.
I wax my dick.
I don't know if I can maintain this accent of decorum around you people. It's
Yes.
so difficult.
Happy.
Happy. Yes. The interior of the boat was divided into 3 compartments. Of these, the one furthest forward was fitted with an airlock, through which a person wearing a diver's suit might leave the vessel while she was underwater and return to her at will. This hold was also pierced for a bullseye, through which could be made to shine
Oh, it's Pierce. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
an electric
I got the
searchlight.
cornhole sparkling, sir.
Little brown eye, right?
It's all
What's that
shiny
spark?
and just ready to go.
What's
He
that
just
spark?
turned into brown.
That's a little too much glitter. A little too much
Just
glitter.
point me to that target.
How am I going to get that out of my sheet?
If you rub your Prince Albert against it, does it create a spark?
Watch out for the starfish.
So electric.
Oh my, through which could be made to shine an electric searchlight of intense power.
The very first flashlight.
Oh, it's
Hey, having the lights off ain't what it's cracked up to be. I'm just telling you.
the central compartment was
Gotta see where you're going.
was the living and operating room. It also contained a dynamo, an air
Oh.
compressor, and a small condenser.
These people mean business.
Wonder if, like, somewhere in the cosmos, the people who wrote these stories are looking down on us like, you're ruining my act.
They're like,
That's not what I meant.
that's not true. It's impossible.
These horrible things back then, ever.
Why is everything an innuendo with your people?
It's less of an innuendo and more
Are
of an
you new to the
innuendo.
show?
Oh my. Through which a person wearing a diver suit might leave the vessel while she was underwater and return to her at will. This hold was also. Oh wait, I've read something
You already read
over. I've already read this. I'm so
I'll believe you.
Already
distracted.
pierced the brown eyes.
Oh my
There you go.
god.
What's that?
Oh
There you
yes,
are.
the small condenser by means of which seawater could be made drinkable. Now that's a handy little idea.
Flood the tubes. No, we need drinking water.
That's why you're supposed to have them cut off, tied up. You don't want to submerge. You don't want to submerge them.
Just open that sphincter and let it flow in. Oh, I'm sorry. Gasket.
Prepare for docking.
Wrapped up like a douche.
Blinded by the light.
I'm literally reminded, like, listening to all this, of just one of my favorite, just one of my favorite submarine stories from World War II. I'll tell you guys after this.
God.
It'll be a perfect way to cap off the evening. But
In the after compartment was located a compact but powerful gasoline engine. This furnished the motor.
We got
Don't fart. Ah!
We don't use batteries around here. We kickstart that bitch.
Blew me halfway across the room.
it's a pull start.
My ass just blew you a kiss.
Never take your date to Taco Bell beforehand. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying I love you.
Diva, can you breathe yet?
Don't worry. I'll give. If need be, I'll go in there and give her mouth to mouth. Don't worry.
Can we listen?
Well,
Hey,
if
it
you
doesn't
wanna,
matter where you get your
know.
engine going as long as you park in the right garage.
Exactly.
The following has been closed captioned for the reality impaired.
There it is.
This furnished the motive power for running on the surface and also stored electricity by which the screw could be turned when the
They caught me off guard. I'm sorry. That was awesome.
I don't know what the story's about anymore.
I know.
I'm reading
Didn't
ahead.
have
I'm
to
already
say a
going
word.
out there. We're gonna crack again.
when the surface air was no longer available. Beneath the floor of the central compartment was a tank for water ballast, which could be filled or emptied at will of the operator. In all parts of the boat were hundreds of tubes, wires, cocks.
Cocks everywhere.
Cock everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, you thought it had gone dormant for the season. No, the American cock gobbler rears its head.
It's gonna be a white
Right.
Christmas,
All
everybody.
those cocks everywhere.
It's going to be a white Christmas if you play your cards right.
I'm dreamy of a white Christmas.
Screw the coxswain. I'm the
Sprayed all
cockmate.
over your face.
I just go around shining all those little cocks.
So many cocks. Sounds
They're
like
all made
a
of
dream I
brass. You
had
gotta
the
make them
other
shine.
night.
And other devices of amazing ingenuity for ensuring the safety of her crew and the discomfiture of an enemy.
Yeah.
You can
She
only go
was.
in. You can only go in with permission. I'm just saying.
If not, that chastity belt has clamps on it.
I told you, we only
Sounds
torpedo
like a-
from behind.
Sounds like a really bad movie.
She was indeed, as Carlos Moranza had said, one of the crowning scientific marvels of the century. On the day succeeding that of her trial trip, the young Cuban was full of hope and courage, for Professor Rivers had won to his cause by the enticing prospect of achieving the rescue of a young girl from a dreadful fate, and at the same time testing under most trying conditions the power of his beloved boat. He had only stipulated that she should not be used for the destruction of either life or property. Oh, how could I get through that one?
That
Wow.
was impressive.
Oh.
Wow.
Thus it happened that in less than a week, one of the most powerful tugs on the Delaware cleared for Havana.
Tug, tug.
She had in tow a great dumping scow.
I thought it was a cow at first. I was like,
such as is used in New York Harbor for conveying the city garbage far out to sea. The scow was built with a long central pocket, the bottom of which
Sounds like Bertha and her prison.
Wait a
bitch.
minute. This is my ex.
is it Rocket?
the bottom
everything in innuendo.
of which
Did you throw a hot dog down it to see how long it was?
It's like flying a plane through the Grand Canyon.
Oh, and the bottom of which was longitudinally divided into two parts.
By a sphincter.
Each of these hung on massive
Called the tank.
hinges and could be made to drop or open outward, thus allowing the contents of the pocket to fall into the sea.
It's a pretty loose pocket.
Yes, and a deep wind, it just goes.
Oh, keep reading.
Then, by means of a donkey engine,
Ah,
I saw that movie
Wow.
once.
Movie. You were in Mexico.
Exactly.
I haven't been to Mexico, but I've seen some shit on. I've watched some shit.
you were there in person.
What?
You sent us the video.
Oh, would you? Man, we're live.
I
Be
know.
quiet. Come on
That's
now.
the PG version.
Oh my gosh.
Damn
I
it,
gotta
man.
be at church tomorrow.
My business.
Well, then you
Come on.
missed the day.
All right, guys, stay tuned for the upload. All right, yeah.
The great valves could be drawn up and closed as before. The question of how to get the mermaid to Havana had proved most puzzling. She was too small to undertake such a voyage by herself, and had she been shipped on the deck of another vessel, her every movement would have been watched and heralded, while the success of the proposed expedition depended upon its secrecy. Thus, at every outset, the would-be rescuers seemed to be confronted by an insurmountable difficulty. Then, Carl Baldwin had thought of the seagoing dumping scows, several of which had been built in his father's shipyard, where one recently completed even now awaited a purchaser.
Yamaha.
Why couldn't we have taken the mermaid to Cuba? What? Whatever.
The he suggested after several other plans had been dismissed as impracticable.
The very thing, cried Carlos. In the way we could carry her right into Havana Harbor, and there offer the scow for sale to the Spaniards as a blind. It is a noble idea, my caro, and will prove our salvation.
Like a Trojan horse. I
Yeah,
like
yes.
Trojans.
I didn't think you were
They were
all
so
about the
smart.
Trojans.
Rib for her pleasure.
I thought you
Oh.
rode bareback.
Only if you turn it inside out, then it's for yours.
Oh,
With the reservoir tip. To hide all those little seamen.
Kaiser.
ahoy!
Kaiser, we need the professor,
It might be done.
said the professor thoughtfully.
Let's just go and take some measurements. Unzip, please.
It's gonna take a magnum.
And this they did, and found that the pocket of the dumping scow was amply large to hold the mermaid.
Yeah, it was.
At the same time, allowing her free egress and exit. Mm.
No banging the sides on that
I mean, if you paid
Bertha's a
for
big
it,
girl.
you paid for it.
That really means a lot about the poop deck now, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little warm cup of water there. Yeah.
Why, it would even float her when closed and half filled with water.
Why is it keep progressing?
Hey, man, I just read what's on the page, man.
Why you keep asking me if it was good? I didn't even know you was in there.
Fornicator.
Only
know
a
we was
few alterations that readily suggested themselves to the professor were needed to exactly suit the great craft to their purpose. While he took charge of these, and Carlos took a trip to New York for consultation with the president of the Cuban Junta, Carl Baldwin arranged for the charter of the finest seagoing tug on the Delaware through her captain for the purchase of the dumping scow.
No one gives a tug like the captain.
Or the dumping scow.
Oh, the professor had long since placed the practical direction of his school in the hands of able assistants, so he was free to leave at it at a moment's notice for any length of time. Thus, when he announced that he was about to devote a few weeks to the testing of his pet invention, and should need the assistance of his two ranking pupils, their departure was effected without arousing undue curiosity.
Too late now.
Well, I think they're about already curious.
Yeah.
The clearing of the tug with its novel tow for Havana was, however, quite another thing, and from the moment their destination was announced, both craft were watched by government officials and Spanish spies to see that no contraband cargo was taken aboard. Of course, nothing of the kind was found, but this did not prevent a revenue cutter from escorting the tow down the river and across the Delaware Bay until it was clear of the breakwater and well out to sea. Finally, the cutter turned back. But even then, her commander continued to watch the tow through a glass.
Kaiser, do a different voice.
Okay, different voice.
In spite of their seeming innocence, I regard that as one of the most suspicious departures ever made on the Delaware.
David.
He remarked to a lieutenant who stood beside him.
The pertinence of trying to sell a scow in Havana, that is only the boldest kind of bluff. Any fool who knows that those blooming Spaniards aren't going to put themselves to the expense or trouble of carrying garbage at the sea, as long as they can dump it in the harbors. Hello? What is that? Quick look and tell me if you don't see something between us and them.
I bet there is.
Oh my.
And through the glass thrust into his hand,
Ooh.
the lieutenant took a long and comprehensive survey of the intervening waters.
She's a gusher.
Kaiser.
I know. I'm laughing.
No, sir, I don't see anything.
Kaiser, Elmo.
I know. I'm just like, okay. I'm just reading I've been just reading the voice parts so far. So
I got you.
Neither do I now.
Said the other after a look.
I would have sworn, though, that I saw something like a raft moving toward the scow.
Ninjas. It's a damn ninjas.
Ninjas.
Oh, no.
Get that schooner, the little man in the
Schooner.
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 Or the starboard side.
Better than the aft.
Randy Savage and Elmo on the deck of a ship, and Elmo in like captain's gear, looking through a long, like a looking glass.
Yes.
Randy Savage standing there in a little sailor's outfit that's 3 sizes too small, his muscles bulging through.
Oh, yeah. You got the arms cut off. Wearing the sunglasses. Yeah.
Yeah.
The commander had indeed caught a glimpse of the mermaid rising to the surface to get her bearings, but she had instantly dived, nor did she again visit the surface until safely within the shadow of the great scow.
Deep inside.
So deep.
So deep. She had run down the river the night before and had lain behind the breakwater with only a small portion of her turret above the surface.
A little tease.
I like
Yeah.
it. I like a cheeky girl.
Until the tow, with its accompanying cutter, had passed out to sea. Then she followed, with her eyes just awash, and dove deep beneath the revenue vessel when it turned back.
So deep.
Upon coming to the surface, she had been allowed to rise a little too far, and so was very nearly discovered.
It was a close shave, just like I like it.
Damn.
Admitted
Gets a little
Carl
itchy, but-
Baldwin. After the mermaid was safely ensconced within the closed pocket of the great cow.
Just shove it up
Get
in
in
there.
that pocket.
But a safe miss is as good as 1,000 miles. And now, we're all right till we get to Havana. Because now I'm expended.
Kaiser.
Don't make me shut up,
Captain Elmo.
Oh, is it supposed to be Captain Elmo? in this
Captain
one?
Elmo.
Yeah, Captain Elmo.
Okay.
Don't be too sure of that.
Admonished the captain of the tug gruffly.
There's many a cruiser between here and there, and every one of them is starting to board us.
And so it
Oh,
proved
all hands on deck.
that Charleston
Grab the. Be sure to secure the mast.
That's
Wait,
right.
wait a
Put your
minute.
hands on my deck, and you put your hands on my deck, and I'll show you a good time.
Make sure your deck is clean.
Are they on a boat or a train?
Wow.
Depends on which way you like it.
Do you like to be motorboated, or do you like to
I
have a
mean,
train
they're-
pulled?
They're getting
Well,
bored.
they're called
an awful
swabbies for a
lot.
couple of different reasons.
And so it proved at Charleston, where the tug put in for coal, leaving her tow in the lower bay. The scow was boarded by revenue officers
Ah, revenuers.
who did not leave her until she was again at sea. And all the while, the poor little mermaid was dodging about underwater, only coming up now and then for a breath and a quick glance at her surroundings like a hunted seafowl. Off the mouth of the St. Johns River, the tow was hove to by a blank shot from a government cruiser, And again was the mermaid forced to seek safety at the bottom of the sea. This time she avenged herself by rising directly beneath the cruiser and demonstrating to the professor's entire satisfaction how easily he could, if he chose, place and fire a torpedo that would blow her from the water.
Bang.
Power. Ooh.
Lots
All
of
that
blow
power
water.
from below.
All that power. Just blow them out of the water.
I think
She's
it's
at
someone
his
else's turn. I
mercy.
think it is. But someone else has got to read.
Alrighty.
Go for
It
Mom.
had been decided to touch at Key West, the most southerly extremity of Florida,
Ooh,
as
touch
well
it,
as
touch
just touch the tip,
Just the tip.
as well as of the United States, and only 85 miles across the Gulf Stream from Havana. And finally, after many narrow escapes from discovery, our adventurers reached the port of that quaint island city in safety. Here, they found several American men of war, all bristling and sweaty and ready to go. A small
worth of
fleet of torpedo boats, 4 revenue cutters, and a Spanish cruiser to all of whom this strange tow slowly making its way up the harbor seemed an object of especial interest. Their fame had preceded them. Everyone knew that they were bound for Havana, and that they had been the objects of suspicion all the way down the coast. So before they came to anchor, they were boarded by the seamen, by United States officers.
Did it fill them
much
up?
Semen.
Filled up with semen.
all over the poop
we only
deck.
come on the anchor
They were
once a
just
week.
scattered all over, like a pearl necklace. And a guard was placed on both tug and scow, with
my
others to
eye.
allow no communication between them and the shore, except under strict surveillance. In the meantime, the little mermaid had sunk quietly out of sight, nor did she rise again to the surface until safely beneath a wharf covered by freight sheds that extended out to deep water. Here, hidden in the deepest shadow, she lay unobserved until nightfall, when our lads found no difficulty in gaining the streets of the town, leaving the professor in charge of his beloved boat. As Carlos Miranza had visited Key West before, he led the way.
He was down there wearing beads, and
I
he
want to
was
make
wearing
love
around
to
his
you.
neck, I must
All of
say.
you.
He led the charge as usual. He led the way without hesitation amid throngs of promenaders, among whom white was the rarest color to be seen. Coal-black Negroes from Jamaica, sallow-complexioned Spaniards, swarthy Cubans, mulattoes, quadroons, octoroons, and Creoles, with faces tinted in every shade of brown or yellow, jostled each other on the sidewalks, and all
So
talking.
what you're saying is a lot of minorities.
I don't
Equal
think it was
opportunity.
minority.
This DEI.
Sounds like a majority. All talking, singing, or laughing with eager gesticulations. My
Hey, my
gesticles
man, come here.
bounce freely. Electric lights gleamed among the softly nestling leaves of tall cocoa palms. Open carriages, bearing cigarette-smoking men in white linen, gaudily clad negresses, or languid cumid women, whose only sign of animation lay in their flashing eyes, rattled over the white pavement, while, above all, innumerable flags displaying the blue and white stripes, the crimson field and single white star of Cuba Libre, fluttered in the faint night breeze. The entire city, which is wholly Cuban in sympathy, as well as 2/3 so in population, was rejoicing over the news just received from an insurgent victory. The exulting throngs were most dense about the buildings occupied by an agent of the Cuban junta, on a balcony of which the glad tidings were being read aloud from a paper just snatched off the press, while a guard stationed at the main entrance forbade admission, except to such persons as were of well-attested patriotism.
Oh, you may not pass.
Cried
you
one
gotta
of
read that.
these.
I was wanting Yamaha to do the Gandalf voice.
Right?
Oh my God!
Oh,
you should
no!
do it.
Ah!
Do it.
Oh, why I can't yell it like that? You shall not pass.
That's even better.
I can't do the Gandalf one just yet. Cried one of these, as our lads, having forced their way through the crowd, sought to enter.
That's how you do it. Get you through that crowd.
For answer, Carlos Moranza spoke a few words in so low a tone that only he might hear them.
This strange tow slowly making its way up the harbor.
Instantly, the man stood aside, touched his
Schooner.
cap respectfully, and motioned them to enter.
Come in.
As they did so, a third person attempted to pass the guard in their company, but was seized on the threshold.
Is this
Is this your
hombre?
honorable of your party, senor?
Asked the guard.
Certainly not. I have
Replied
never
Carlos.
seen this.
You have to wait till I
hombre.
read my tart, damn it.
I'm reading.
Take your turn,
I don't
Dan.
care.
Yeah, wait your turn, man.
You're not being fair.
Certainly not. Well,
So-
come on!
The intruder was evidently of Spanish
I
blood.
need it. You cut me off. Oh my God! You threw such a fit, and then you cut me off. It's like I gotta read my part. Dear God!
Wow, that was funny.
It's giving me Bubbles flashback during our
Right.
testimony.
Right? Is this the deposition again?
So the intruder, who was evidently of Spanish blood because of his insane diva-like demeanor,
Ginormous.
It's us. Woo.
Oh, he's so hot-blooded. Senor.
Ooh, oh,
Yay.
Right, mommy.
And he thrusted, mama.
I'll show you the thrust.
Let's
Ooh,
try the
was
let's try the mole sauce.
ignominiously thrust back. Ooh. And as he slunk away, he muttered words that boded no good to Carlos Moranza, in case they should again meet. In the meantime, the young Cuban, accompanied by Carl Baldwin, made his way to the balcony where the agent of the junta had just finished reading of Garcia's victory. As Carlos touched him on the shoulder, he turned quickly and frowned at the sight of a stranger. Again, the lad
He stuck
whispered
up behind me.
his-
It's like I didn't
me on the
back
shoulder.
there.
Again, the lad whispered his magic formula. Pantas disrobus. And in another moment,
Nombres pantalones.
was embracing him with the fervor of a lifelong friendship. Ooh, wow, that's kind of forward. Then he led his guests to a wow, God, this guy's just all up in there, isn't he?
Let's get fired up, man.
Jesus Christ,
Yeah,
man, next thing you know,
man, right off the bat. No hello, no go fuck yourself, nothing. No, just
No lube, just right on in.
Yeah.
Adios.
he's going to raw dog that whole thing.
just
Then he
straight
let his
from hello
guests-
to
Half an hour. God, that's a long time. He's got a lot of
Yeah.
stamina.
To a private room where for
Suck it up,
half an
rip it,
hour
and
he
rub it
engaged
down.
Carlos in earnest conversation,
See,
of which young Baldwin could only understand an occasional word. When our lads finally left the building and regained the streets, the latter asked curiously,
that's you.
"What was this all about, old man?"
Oh, I bet it bled.
He said that the
Replied
Spanish
Carlos.
about time, that the Spanish crew objection to form. Objection to form. He said that the Spanish crews are now in port. He is here for the express purpose of escorting us to Havana. And that As soon as we are outside Key West Harbor, she will place a guard on both Tug and Scow.
Chucky says it's like getting a prostate exam with a 2-hour shoulder massage from the doctor all at the same time.
Yeah, right.
It's not 2 hours. They won't keep you there that long. I asked.
Hey, Doc, I like when you do that. And you do it a little longer.
Whoa, Doc, your hands are cold. Can you put some lube on that shit? Come on.
A little to the left now.
My wife does a better job. Come on.
All right, you take off that Super Bowl ring and we'll talk.
It's even stranger when your dentist tells you to take your pants off.
Why does that chick have man hands?
Mommy.
Remarked Carl Baldwin reflectively. Who can't allow that?
I should say not.
Oh, we can't. Sorry.
Yes.
Agreed, Carlos Moranza.
Only I'd like to know how we are to prevent it.
You put on some
You
extra
just-
lubrication.
Just leave it to me.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
You have to buy a raincoat.
Let's go back to that Trojan thing. I like that idea.
Baldwin's the young American.
Just you leave it to me. I'll show you the trick. Rejoined the young American.
I bet you will. Let me show you the Spanish acquisition.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Oh, you want to read for a little bit there, Miss
Miss
Nocturna?
Nocturna.
Sure can.
Yes.
So intent were the lads upon their conversation that they mistook another freight shed for the one beneath which the mermaid was hidden, and walked a few paces beside it before discovering their error. When they did so, they at once began to retrace their steps, and in turning a corner of the building, came plump upon a cloaked figure evidently on their trail. Who's Carl? I guess, okay. I'll make
That's
That
that
would
Yamaha.
be me.
That's Yamaha.
Well, hello. What do you mean, sir, by following us?
cried Carl Baldwin, seizing the stranger's arm as he spoke. With a muttered oath, the man wrenched himself free and darted away, but not before the gleam of a streetlight had revealed his features to Carlos his features to Carlos Maranza.
Ooh.
This very fellow who tried to force his way into the quarters of the junta.
You can't force it in, guys.
Yes, you can. With the right lubricant, you can force into anything.
Raw dog and no KY.
And more than likely, he is a Spanish spy. It is a narrow escape, my Carol. For if our blunder had not forced us to turn back, he must have discovered the mermaid. And in that case, we should indeed have met with trouble. And my little friend.
Well, let us hasten then. Or let's get it over with before he returns.
I don't believe he will dare do that. He is too scared of my machismo.
But the spy did return, and crouching in deepest shadow became
He liked my
convinced
machismo.
that those whose business he was so anxious to discover had passed beneath the wharf. As he dared not attempt to follow them through the impenetrable gloom into which they had disappeared, he sought a hiding place, and from it watched with infinite patience for them to again come forth, and come again and again.
Only if you do it right, mommy.
He's a watcher.
He's a satyr.
He's the
They
dirty little
had-
Like
lawyer.
watch.
In the meantime, safely regained the snug living room of the mermaid and reported all that happened to the professor. Then Carl Baldwin unfolded his scheme for delaying the Spanish cruiser in port until their departure.
He just unzipped his pants and threw it out on the table and said, there you go.
Here we go, guys. As a
There it is.
result, the submarine boat was allowed to drift down the harbor with the ebbing tide until she came abreast the great black hull of the man of war. Then she imperceptibly sank beneath the surface.
She hovered like a gigantic fish.
Fish.
The
Stinky
watch
wench.
Yeah.
The watch officer of the Spanish cruiser, leaning on her after rail and gazing
There's a rail back there?
musingly down into the dark waters
Has to
sweeping
hold on to.
seaward.
It's right above the tramp
Speculated
stamp.
idly concerning the stream of phosphorescent light trailing from under her counter, but thought of it only as a natural phenomenon. Had he known it was caused by the motion of the mermaid's propeller, she was so excited, necessary to hold her in position against the stream, while she hovered like a gigantic fish directly above the screw of his ship. How easily could he have won the promotion for which he longed? But he suspected nothing, and as Carl Baldwin, working from the diver chamber of the submarine craft, has succeeded in fastening one end of a short length of stout wire rope, tying up the propeller blade, and shackling the other to a ring. This sounds okay. This is getting progressive. Hey.
Well, I played helicopter. I've just never used it as a screw before.
No, it sounds like another. It sounds like another Nocturna Saturday night is what it sounds like.
Yeah, all right.
Sounds
All right. So, okay.
Strapping
Succeeded
it down, tying it up.
Fastening one end of the short length of stout wire rope to the propeller blade and shackling the other to a ring bolt in the massive rudder.
Massive.
So
So
massive.
huge.
Oh, God. The officer turned with a
Bulging.
sigh and walked away. Ah. On the following morning, the Spanish spy, weary and cramped with his long vigil, was amazed to see an utter stranger emerge cautiously from beneath the wharf he had been watching, because he loved to watch, and walked quickly away. For a moment, the spy was undecided as to whether he should follow this person or seek to discover where he'd come from. Then, choosing the former course, he followed Professor Rivers at a respectful distance until he had the vast satisfaction of seeing him meet near the custom house the captain of the tug that was avowedly bound for Havana. There was a connection then between those who hid beneath the wharf and the suspected tow anchored in the harbor. Undoubtedly, a store of contraband goods was concealed under the wharf, and an effort would be made to convey them on board the tug before she sailed. What a reward was in prospect for him, could he but discover it.
Bum, bum, bum.
Tug, tug.
Dun, dun, dun.
A little later, the spy, with two companions, because, DP, all armed, occupied a skiff that made its way cautiously through the dark spaces. Oh, yeah, sorry, guys. Beneath the wharf, and he had watched so long.
Sorry.
Suddenly, between them and the outer daylight, two men appeared, one after the other. I told you. Both slid down.
Well, that's what happens in a train.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I asked.
Isn't it
is
kind of
this a
one of those
boat?
things?
I wasn't sure, guys. I mean, is this a boat? Is this a train? I mean,
Well, you tell me. Do you like to be motorboat or do you like to ride the train?
anyway.
Sorry, I had to
Come
mute.
on,
The kid
ride
came
the
in and
train.
give me a hug again. So.
And ride it.
That's awesome.
Oops.
Are we good?
You're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Suddenly, between them in the outer daylight, two men appeared one after the other. Both slid down one of the piles, supporting the pier, and dropped into the water. Or at least the exulting spy thought they did. So as he hastily urged his boat in that direction, and to his amazement and disgust, when he reached the perfect spot, where they had disappeared, he could discover no trace of them.
Found the
Neither
man
was
in the
there
little boat. There he is, right there. Man
And he
in the
lost
boat.
Hiding.
it. He ruined it. He ruined
And it
it.
disappeared.
He ruined it. And most men do, guys. It's
Oh.
take your time. Take your time.
Wow.
Take your time.
Wow.
Was it the ice cubes? Was it the ice
I
cubes?
put my finger around his little
Scooter,
neck and just
Scooter.
throttle away.
When you find
I'm
it,
jerking
baby,
that man out of the boat.
when you find it, be easy with
have
it,
to be
okay?
careful
Don't
with the
lose
man
it.
in the
Be
boat.
easy. Yeah.
Be careful with the man in the boat. Why would you be careful with the man in the
I
boat?
squeeze
Oh,
him till
because
his
of
little
the-
face
If you
Face
beat
is
him around
purple.
too much,
Be careful with the man in the boat.
won't
it
like
will
it.
be. You'll love.
he
the
gets
man in
all
the boat.
chafed.
It'll do some things for you if you're careful with it.
Lord.
I didn't want to drown. I'm just saying.
Oh yes, you. Neither was there a boat.
Hit
or
that thing like a
hiding
speed bag.
Okay. Now I'm gonna be serious. Now I'm gonna find marvelous. Okay. Neither was there a boat or hiding place in which they could have gone. The man was furious at being thus baffled, and uttered many a fierce Spanish oath.
Fair.
Mierda! Finally convinced that further search in that direction was fruitless, he pulled
No,
out.
find the man in the little boat. Don't
He
stop.
pulled out. He pulled out, man. He pulled out
Oh,
into the harbor to
Quitter.
watch the mysterious
Can't pull out too early.
That's why the Z was invented. Ooh, okay. He pulled out into the harbor to watch and check the mysterious toe that still lay at the anchor. As he drew near to it, he saw its captain come off from shore alone. Then the guard from one of the revenue cutters was withdrawn. Anchors were lifted and the tow began to move slowly down the channel. It was certain that no one save the captain had gone aboard, nor had any cargo been taken in except a few tons of carefully examined coal. Never in his life I'll read this one and I'll hand it off. Never in his life
Okay.
had the spy been so puzzled and disappointed, but it was a slight consolation to know that Spain's vigilant cruiser would accompany the gringos to Havana.
See,
Even now was the Black Cold War ship preparing to follow the departing tow. As the massive anchor broke away from the bottom, her great screw began to churn the water, and she slowly
Hey.
forged ahead.
That's right. Turn that screw.
Suddenly, her screw ceased to act. Damn it.
That's right.
She took a sheer in the wrong direction. There was a
when you don't warn her about the other hole.
Yeah, when you all of a sudden switch direction,
Whoa, is that where you
it
want
can
to
kind of
go?
throw them off.
Hold up.
What are you doing? I was almost there.
Wait a minute, cowboy.
There was
Sorry, it slipped.
Don't you remember they said they put like a cable and a ring thing in there in the prop, so whenever they started the engine, it just would wrap up in there and then hit the
I
engine.
thought one was no different than the other.
I thought one was pretty massive, and that's all I know is there was something
Cable.
massive in the backside, and well,
I think this cave's a little closed off.
Oh, my.
Guys. Okay.
I speak old timey.
Y'all got me fucked up now.
When is that anything new?
Yeah.
There we go. You were right here.
Okay. There was a vast amount of confusion on her cheeks. I mean, on her decks. And in
That ain't
another
confusion.
minute, she was fast aground on the bank of the narrow channel. Every eye in Key West Harbor was fixed upon her. And before anyone again thought of the departing tow, it had gained the high seas and was beyond the jurisdiction of either Spain or Uncle Sam. A little later, with the saucy mermaid safely hidden in the ample receptacle of the great dumping scow,
Get in
the
there.
tow had vanished in the direction of Havana.
Chucky
Oh
Chucky
my.
wants to hear us do a reading of Moby Dick.
There she blows!
Oh my god.
There she
The hump
blows.
like a snow hill.
That would be a
It's
complete
Moby
utter
Dick.
slaughter.
Oh, we got things planned for next year. Trust me.
Just wait till 2025.
The reading of the classics by.
Yes.
Hey,
Yeah.
there's no
From
copyright
Sunday
on it
Spies.
anymore, so you know,
There you go.
public domain.
All right, Kaiser, hit it.
Yep.
That night, the spy boarded a swift passenger steamer bound for the same port,
Yes.
which at sunrise
Should've
on the
been
following morning
1939.
passed beneath the frowning walls of Morro Castle in company with the tow that had come to watch. The mermaid retained her berth even after the pilot had boarded the tug, and her crew looked eagerly on the wonderfully beautiful scene unfolding before him as they passed through the narrow entrance into the broad landlocked harbor of Havana. Carl Baldwin, to whom everything was excitingly novel, viewed with a delighted grin Morro as this tall lighthouse tower and high Cabana's fortress and tinted flat-roofed buildings of the city across the placid basin. The quaint cathedral spires and the
Like a
thousands of
bird
curious features of Spain's chief stronghold in the New World.
Oh, I think all my curiosity's gone now.
For the very first time.
Carlos Miranda, filled with conflicting
Yes.
emotions again, approached his native land with such
I do not know.
gazed in
I do
silence,
not know.
but was just
Senor or senorita?
both. But as though hoping that every
do not know
intensity
what
of his
she is.
vision to piercing the
Mundane.
crowding walls, discover the prison of his beloved sister.
Yes, I pierced. Many, many times.
I got deep inside there.
Pierce the veil.
So
Pierce the
deep
veil.
inside. Yes.
Gotta pierce the prison walls. Yeah. Oh, Lord have mercy. Professor
There's no
Rivers had
mercy
eyed
here.
only for his warships.
Because they were so
Although
big.
the harbor had at least half a dozen.
They were so
And he
good.
speculated upon the ease of which this little mermaid could humble their pride and render them powerless. At this very moment, the Spanish spy was regarding.
I thought
him-
it said Spanish fly.
That's what I thought. I mean, either one fits.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm
Oh,
sorry,
that's
should I
awesome.
continue?
Yes.
Yes, please. Sir,
Yes,
please
yes.
continue.
As a good narrator, you should expect interruptions.
I
Let's go.
Look, it's inevitable for this program, so I completely I already knew
Okay,
it was gonna
okay,
happen.
let's go.
And yes, I am doing the 1940s radio guy. Thank you, Diane
Love
Chase, for pointing
it.
that out. Thank you. All right.
Sounds like Alistair.
Anyhow. And triumphantly recognizing all three of the Americans through the glass level at them from the deck of the steamer on which he was a passenger. Thus, it happened as the captain of the tug was preparing to go ashore and make formal entry at
goes
the
steamer
custom
on the
house
forehead.
after having successfully passed examination by both health officers and port authorities. Two barges filled with soldiers
they use
dashed out
gloves.
from the mole and headed directly towards the new arrivals. Eager beavers, those. those took possession of the tug, while the other, in which
I like
sat
to be in
an
possession of
exulting
the tug too.
spy, ranged alongside the dumping scow. For nearly an hour, the soldiers searched every compartment and corner of the two vessels, even overhauling the coal in the tug's bunkers. When they were
That's what we call it now.
Even the spies were forced to confess that they had no
Don't
personal
touch
vote
my
on accounted
bunker.
for in the tug's papers. And they must have been labored under the delusion as what to be seen. He was bewildered, mortified, and angry, and was rendered furious by the ridicule heaped upon him by the officers to whom he was obliged to report his failure and discover anything that would justify a seizure of the tug.
Seize the tug.
Oh no, we
Seize it.
suck again.
All that
Hey,
crevice probing.
If you're in
Hold that tug.
seizure of the tug, you get to decide, you know.
Yes, we
Not an
outspotted
inch
those crafty
unexplored.
Spaniards once again.
Always a hot night on Sunday.
Oh,
That's why we're spicy.
I think.
So spicy.
It can only get
spicier
from here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
This craft the Spaniards would have been glad to possess, but when its captain went ashore and announced its desire to dispose of its dumping scow, the authorities only laughed at him and referred him to General Weyler, who happened to be at the time absent with an expedition to Interior. This was gratifying information, as it afforded an excuse for remaining in Havana Harbor until he should return. In the meantime, the mermaid, having sunk out of sight on approach of danger, had found a safe refuge under the stern of a Spanish man-of-war that had moored close at hand.
I too like a
Here
very
she
large
received a
stern.
supply of fresh water, air through a flexible tube on one end, which was supported
That's
on
right.
the surface
Get that tube right in there. Get yourself some fresh air.
of the water by a small float. During that time, their occupants were thus compelled to remain in hiding. They amused themselves by so wedging the rudder of the warship as to render it immovable. With the
Well, when my
earliest twilight,
snorkel's up, it doesn't have anything to do with air.
yes, you just go ahead and take that spike and shove it right up that rudder. Mhm.
Look out below.
It'll have you spinning in circles for weeks. With the earliest twilight, of that evening, they returned to the tug and held a short
Purple.
consultation with their captain, who had used his eyes to such good purpose while on shore that he was enabled to direct them to a place from which he believed he could gain access to the city streets. This was most important, for though in darkness they might have landed anywhere along the quay, they would still have been shut off from the streets by a tall and stout iron fence, the gate of which were always guarded, and at sunset locked for the night. This in accordance with a regulation that not only forbids any vessel to enter or leave port of Havana between sunrise and sunset, but also prohibits the communication between city and harbor during the night.
Yeah. Get in there.
The place indicated by the captain was a dock in which lay a
Docking.
number of fishing craft. Go ahead, Shizzy. What were you
Oh.
saying?
No, I was saying they were docking.
Yes, there was a lot of docking going on.
Again and again and again.
Those
No
crafty
talking
Germans,
and
what
no
can I
one can
say?
leave.
Just don't pull out a port too early. They don't like
By
that.
Jove, I tell you, the crowd's done it again. And the entrance to which the closed by iron gates. As it was not likely these extended very far below the surface, it was possible that the mermaid might pass beneath them. This proved to be the case, for when, after a long search of several narrow escapes from discovery, the dock was reached, the mermaid managed to squeeze under the barrier, and then just next rose just to the surface. She was inside the city lines. Here she remained, with her deck still just awash, and in charge of the professor, while the two lads filled with hopeful excitement, set forth in search of information that could guide them in their future action.
Yay, shore leave!
Woo!
All right, more shore leave, boys. And now back to you in the studio.
Aye, get the village pump. She's sprung a leak.
She sprung a leak.
She sprung a leak.
You can't put duct tape over that.
Well, we get in here to chapter 4. The part of the city in which our lads found themselves is dark and deserted, save for an occasional soldier pacing a lonely beat, and a few slouching figures that seemed that they were trying to avoid observation. Looked a
And
little
we
bit
know
like
why.
California. Well, they just looked a little bit like they're in California and doing some of them their ketamines or something.
Don't look, he's over there beating his meat again.
Hey, before I'm going to step out for just a minute.
Sure.
And
Okay.
I will be back. So if it comes to one of my parts or whatever, then somebody else can just take over.
I got you
All right.
covered.
I'll be back in a second. Don't miss me too hard.
Go take care of it.
Gotta take care of what you need to take care of.
That's right.
Totally gonna miss you.
Yes, we will. At the suggestion of Carlos, they met in the middle of the ill-paved streets, for in Havana, no one uses the narrow sidewalks at night because they might bust their ass. And to do so would be to invite a knife thrust or some other thrust from the
Ooh.
first dark Presidios. Even in the more open spaces that they sought, each lad kept a hand in the pocket containing his revolver.
That was that what he's calling it.
And they took care to allow not
Bang.
any approach any person from them closely from
You'll
behind.
shoot your
If
eye
you-
out, kid.
Well, no, we're
Shoot
worried
somebody
about
else's eye out.
Nah, it's the brown eye you got to be worried about.
Oh.
At length, they came to a region of plazas and lighted thoroughfares in which they encountered ever-increasing numbers of beggars and soldiers. We couldn't tell which one was which, because they both were dressed the same. The former were pitiable objects horribly emancipated by the starvation which Spain deliberately inflicted upon the rebellious subjects, those bastards. While most of the soldiers were mere boys, and they were ill-fed, poorly clad, and wasted by sickness, probably from all those Cuban horrors that they were sleeping with, but well armed and insolent to all save their own officers. These latter who swaggered by in noisy cigarette-smoking groups, little bastards. I'm telling you, if you're smoking cigarettes, you need to switch over to cigars. Get yourself a
Damn
good Cuban.
trouble. Them youngins, they don't know no better.
They don't know no better. They're silly. Seems the
Always.
only well-fed persons in the city, as well as the only ones who still found life worth the living. They stared impudently at our lads, and more than one recognized Carl Baldwin as an American, and they reached over and gave him a reach around, treated him to insulting epithets. Most
Welcome
of which
to
were fortunate
Cuba.
fails. Well, they were calling him a pinchy widow and all kinds of crap like that.
Oh, it's so
No.
little.
Yeah, they're calling him all kinds of names. White boy, not knowing whom they might
Honky.
question or honky. Well, I
Racket.
don't understand what this honky is.
Cracker.
I like crackers,
Jive turkey.
Mayonnaise.
mayonnaise. Not knowing
Mayo,
whom they might
you mean?
question. You can call me Casper. Before even addressed with safety, the young adventurers finally turned to the brilliantly lighted cafe of the, I want to say that looks like a dirty word, but I'm not going to say it, where they hoped to gain some guiding
say.
clue from chance bits of conversations. The place was so crowded that for several minutes they failed to find vacant seats at any of the little tables scattered about the floor. And at length they secured two that had just been vacated, and well, they just slipped right into them. Two other seats at the same table are occupied by some suspicious-looking Spanish officer and a fashionably attired civilian. The
Hi.
former, with an expression of deepest hatred cast towards Carl Baldwin, slowly rose, reversed his chair with a loud loud scraping on the marble pavement that attracted general attention. When that son of a bitch set his ass back down and turned squarely towards the young American, the latter had suspected the nature of the insulting epithets implied to him in the streets, but had been unable to reply to them on account, well, he is a damned idiot. With enforced silence, his anger had smoldered until now, when it broke into a sudden fierce heat. He just whipped it out right there, acting on the impulse of the moment. He lifted up his own chair, planted it in front of the Spaniard, and said, "Hi,
Look at
guy,
this
how
hog."
you doing?"
I just like the attention.
Well, he deliberately reoccupied it and stared at his enemy full in the face, but he didn't utter a single word. As Carlos Moranza realized his companion's intention, he started towards him, but was detained by a fourth man who'd been seated at the table, who whispered hurriedly,
"Zip up your fly, amigo. I mean, fly for your life, amigo, while there is time. For a Moranza to be arrested in Havana means sure and speedy death."
"Go ahead, it's you two."
Okay. "But I cannot leave my friends."
Gasped the young Cuban, bewildered at being thus promptly recognized where he believed himself to be unknown.
"He will only suffer imprisonment. They dare not kill him. His government is too powerful."
Well, for a moment, Carlos, he hesitated. Then his resolution was taken.
"I cannot desert him."
He cried, and gaining the place where Carl Baldwin sat, he grasped his arm with a baby arm, with the intention of dragging him from the cafe. At this, the officer, who had cowered, whatever that word is, irresolute beneath his adversary's unflinching gaze, clapped his hand to his sword and attempted to rise, but it looked like it looked wrong. In an instant, the young American had thrust him back with such force that the frail chair crashed beneath him, and the uniform of the Spain was rolled innocuously in the dust.
I'll slap you,
Without
bitch.
regarding the man further or noticing the other inmates of the cafe who were thronging towards them, Carl turned to his friends, saying,
I don't think I like this place, West. Isn't there some other in which we might be just as happy?
Yes, come quick."
Always the
"Oh,
quickie.
yes," replied Carlos. He was starting towards the
"I'll
street as
stay
he
longer
spoke.
if you like."
Come quicker. But it was too late. At that moment, he got it all over his face. I mean, there was a file of soldiers. They appeared in the doorway. They were led by the Spanish spy who followed our friends from Key West and who'd been sitting in the Cafe Bosange, brooding over the futility of his attempts to apprehend them when the two lads unsuspectedly entered it.
"There they are, season!"
He cried exultantly, and the obedient officers rushed forward with all the latent fury of his nature aroused, and it was
was
blazing
so
from his blue
aroused.
eyes. That young hunky meaty
I know I
man
am.
just come rolling in there. He
So
fought
there's any
mean.
latency
Oh.
there
the
anymore.
minions of Spain. The two
I'll
of
just
them
let
fell
go.
well, yes, he let go. Two of them fell like logs beneath the crashing blows from them big white fists. Two more were hurled
so
breathless
big.
to the left and to the right. The others hesitated, and they got like all shrunk up, and they said, "Well, I don't know. That thing's pretty tight. Come on, West." He dashed towards the doorway. At that moment, someone flung a chair before him. Well, and he tripped over it and staggered wildly. They measured his length. He threw it out on the table and said, "That thing's huge," with a half a dozen Spanish shoulders on his back.
They were like,
Damn,
hell
boy.
yeah. Ay, 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 mommy, we
Just
want
split
that.
that table in half.
And he said, "Take the farm."
When then he was allowed to regain his feet, he was helplessly bound and being marched away to prison together with Carlos,
They were what?
Because
They were running.
what happens in prison stays in prison. Who is in the same unhappy plight? Even then, the spirit of the young American was unsubdued, and in defiance of his enemies, he raised a cry on the gate into the street he felt certain was as good as Spanish as it was English.
My cock gobbler!
Say it. Say it. Say it.
He shouted with all the breath left in him.
Silencio, gringo.
Growled the nearest soldier at the same time, striking his prisoner full in the freaking mouth with the flat of his hand, like shut up, man. For a wonder, Carl Baldwin retained sufficient wisdom to accept the blow without a word. Oh, I'll take that blow. Though he had known the full
keep your
value of
mouth
his
shut.
outcry.
But he took it all.
Well, he
All
might have
it
been
is.
tempted to repeat it also. A crowd had already gathered in front of the cafe, and from it instantly arose large
Take it,
penises
take it,
are
take
answered
it.
in shouts and tones indicating both derision and amazements of
The chicken! El canto de chicken!
Chicken Marato! Carlos Baranjo wondered how his friend had obtained a knowledge of the junta's defiant password for the current month, since even to him it had only been revealed under promise of strict secrecy that he had not broken. He had used it but once, and then the whispered Canto de Gallo had instantly admitted him to the presence of Juanto's agent in Key West. No matter, though, how Carl had discovered it, he was justified in using it under the circumstances, for it might raise friends to their assistance, if indeed there were any within hearing who understood its hidden meaning. Thus thinking, the young Cuban also uplifted his voice in a ringing
Canto del Gallo.
ah.
Wow.
Here comes the rooster. Yeah, they come to snuff the rooster. Oh, yeah.
With the sound of that second note of defiance, the Spanish fly, with meticulation upon the galapio, sprang towards the lad, but ere he could not strike a blow, for someone in the crowd hurled a paving
Almost
stone,
there.
stretched him senseless to the ground, and then he got smacked again. As though this were a signal, the mob, led by a tall man in a dress of carbonaro, charcoal burner, rushed upon the slender file of soldiers and swept it irresistibly before them. A few moments of pandemonium, shots, yells, screams of pain, cries of exhaustion, moans of yes.
Just got to get past that first
No,
pinch.
Diddy, no, Diddy, no, no.
You said you were going to use baby oil.
There was
Daddy.
a crash of flying
Daddy.
missiles. Oh my. The ominous clatter of cavalry patrol galloping down the streets, and then all was over. Oh, the mob, they melted away like a puff of smoke, leaving only a few innocent and inoffensive citizens to be cut down by the sabers of the troopers. The prisoners who had caused the outbreak had also disappeared. And when the Spanish fly, slowly regaining his senses, became aware of this fact, he gnashed his teeth with rage, jumping in the air.
I wasn't ready.
He wasn't ready.
It was over so quick.
It's so bad. Our lads were in the meantime dragged at top speed through a labyrinth of narrow streets and dark alleys until, breathless and bewildered, they finally found themselves in the dimly lighted room surrounded by a group of people that was said, "Take off your pants right now."
Take off your
No más
pantalones.
pantalones.
Do as I say.
One of these severed the cords binding their arms with two blows of a dirk-like machete and said in reassuring tones,
It's daddy vibes.
Oh, fear nothing, senors. You are here with friends.
Oh,
sworn to aid all who suffer in the cause of Cuba. Tell us then, who are you, whence you come, and how it happens that you possess the most secret password of Wonta?
Baby, you keep talking like
I'm
that. I
going
come multiple
anywhere
times.
with you.
My name is Poppy.
Take me with you, mommy.
I
will come for a
Replied
password
the
of
Cuban
Wanda.
boldly. For him alone of the two was this address intelligible.
am Carlos Maranza, son of
A bitch!
son of bitch.
Here the lad was interrupted by a great scream of one of his auditors. In another instance, he was folded in a close embrace by the Caballero who led the mob to the rescue.
Carlos, my son, my brave boy, know you not your puppy?
Cried the man, half
Who's your
sobbing,
daddy?
half laughing in the excitement of his discovery.
Puppy, me puppy, can it be?
Screamed Carlos, staring wildly at the man.
It is indeed his voice, but without hearing it, I should never have known it. But puppy, they told you you were shot. I have mourned you, es muerte.
I was indeed captured and condemned to be shot, but managed to escape, replied General Maranza. And I should have joined you in the land of the freedom heirs, but for Katina.
What of her?
Inquired the young Cuban eagerly.
Is she alive and well? I heard that she was a prisoner condemned to Africa, and am here to effect her release, if it not be too late.
Well, the child is indeed an inmate of vile Jacoba and sentenced to transportation in a ship.
Damn him!
Sail on tomorrow, replied the general. This I learned but an hour since from Don Esteban.
They have defiled your sister.
Now I know.
Tends to be
It
much
was
shaving.
also he who gave me warning in the cafe.
'Twas to meet him who was a true friend of the cause, continued the other, that I lingered near the passage and was on hand to rescue from Wyler's clutches those that appealed for aid with the password of the junta.
Yes!
Laughed Carlos.
The Canto de Gallo of my friend, who yet declares that he knew nothing of its secret value, did us a fine service. But of Katina, my father, what more have you to tell?
Well, nothing, you little shithead. All efforts to rescue her have been made in
Bastardo!
vain.
Bastardo!
Tomorrow the little bitch will sail away forever. I've lacked two things, a large penis and singing.
But you have small penis!
I have very small penis. Demonstration of sufficient magnitude to attract attention from the prisoners, and I mean, you just got to whip it out, son, because you're hung better than me. And the
Well,
means
both...
of conveying her, from the island undiscovered, but my ass. I mean, alas,
both of them I can supply. If you know
large
what I
penis
mean.
and all.
Yeah, see, such a demonstration may be contrived as well, cause every Spaniard in Havana to tremble in his shoes and call on the states for protection from mighty large penis. As for a conveyance, it is already in hand.
Large.
Furthermore, the transport ship can certainly be prevented from sailing on the morrow, and shall be with my large penis.
What then, my Carlos? Have the United States espoused our cause and sent a fleet?
Oh,
to
not
our
so,
aid?
father, not so! Only two of her brave citizens, of whom this, my dearest amigo, is one have come with me, but we have brought that which may accomplish all that I claim and more. Do not question me as to its nature, pendejo, for I am bound to present secrecy. Only be prepared for our demonstration, which will be made tomorrow night. Effect the release of the little one from La Jacoba. Bring her to the dock of the fish market on the exact stroke of midnight.
Oh my God.
And her safety together will thy own be assured.
Struck into
When
the
after
pipe.
another hour spent well, congratulations, explanations, and a perfecting of details for the proposed rescue, our lads took their departure, cautiously returned to the place where Professor Rivers anxiously waited them.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And I'm going to
Yes.
count each
Release
one of those
the
strokes
diamonds.
until
Calm
midnight to
yourself.
make sure.
There we are. All done.
Because I like to watch.
I've been sitting here with nothing to read for quite a while. I'm just amusing myself by throwing an extra line in there.
Well,
I shall Volstorm or Diva.
Oh, it is you, my dear.
Oh, thank you.
Mom.
Mommy.
Yeah, he has an awful lot of speaking
Mummy.
parts. So
He
you know.
does have
Yes.
a lot of speaking parts. I will
Only
try
in
to-
spurts, but that's all the I
Oh,
need.
Ooh.
that's
It is a
all.
marathon, not a sprint. And you like it and you know it, Poppy.
What the fuck is this?
It is very large, I must say. Yes.
you have it in hand.
Oh, it is so large, Poppy.
I gotta tell you guys, I
Hold
totally
on, do you have it in
understand what's going on.
hand? Do you have it in hand? That's all I want to know.
Uh-huh. All right, David.
Oh, yes. Chapter 5. Although amid the excitements of the night, Carl and Carlos had not realized the flight of time. The hours of waiting passed by their companion in anxious suspense on board the Mermaid had seemed interminable.
Okay, I'm done.
Got cold
done.
on the bunk.
I'm done. That's all I needed. I'm done.
Yeah.
He had not dared desert his boat for a minute, nor would it have been safe to move from the precise position in which the lads had left her.
Oh, don't move. Don't move.
Doggy,
Please.
missionary,
Move right there, right there.
cowgirl.
Put something on and stay in that position.
Boy, it's
stay
hard
right
to
there.
Get away from them straps when you're
Stay
in that
right there. I'll
position.
be back.
All that leather
So-
Don't
strap.
go anywhere. Of course you can't.
Don't stop. Don't
He
stop.
could
Don't stop.
only watch from the turret of his submerged
Ooh.
craft.
Be a
And-
little voyeur peeping Tom. Okay.
With every sense keenly alert for the return of his young friends.
Oh, he's lookout.
Come back
Okay.
to me, mijos.
After a while, he seemed to
You
hear
come back,
guarded
Neil.
footsteps and whispering voices close at hand,
Right
though
behind me.
unable to see the figures to which they belonged. The impulse to turn on a searchlight and thus discover the nature of his surroundings became so strong
Oh.
that at length he disconnected the wires in order to remove the temptation.
I'm electrocuting myself. I gotta pull these wires off. They're turning around.
It's worth it. It
Some
must
people
be.
just can't take the battery and jumper cables for too long.
Well, you know.
That's only how I get up in the morning. 50,000 volts to the
All I can say is I don't know why he disconnected those wires, but girl, keep on reading the way because that's all that matters.
He had hardly done this and resumed his position in the turret when there came a shout, a shot, and a
Oh,
rush
my
of
eye!
feet. Then a
That's
cry
my
in
eyeball.
English of
Show a light, Professor. A quick light. I don't know who it was. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know who that is either.
I just assumed it was Carlos.
Then 2 dripping figures scrambled aboard.
I'm done.
So
Er,
wet.
The
Wet
startled
figures.
man struck a match and held it aloft, where it was instantly extinguished by a little puff of wind. Poof.
Sorry.
But its purpose was served, for even as it expired,
Just blowing you a kiss. Just blowing you a kiss.
I didn't know fucking starfish would blow kisses like that.
I sure did.
I don't even feel it anymore.
Oh, you gotta give it that hook pull.
Exactly. Exactly.
but
Hockaloogie. Hockaloogie.
its purpose was served, for even as it expired, 2 dark forms leaped into the black water that closed above them. At the same moment, half a dozen shots rang out spitefully, and one of them, evidently attracted by the professor's light, glanced from the mermaid's iron turret. Then 2 dripping figures scrambled aboard. The turret hatch was closed, and with her crew safely reunited, the marvelous craft sank beneath the surface, without leaving a trace to be discovered by the flashing lanterns that, a few minutes later, were exploring every inch of the dock in which she had lain.
I want to explore every inch. Oh,
Oh God.
all 3 inches.
Yeah, when your dick's all nice and shiny like.
He took all the lube. Son of a bitch.
You gotta scrub
He
that.
orders it by the 55-gallon drum.
Definitely wasn't a grower either.
Oh.
The lads had made a second narrow escape, and that they had made it at all was not due to any lack of precaution on the part of the Spanish spy, who, fully convinced that they were in some way connected with the mysterious tow in the harbor, had taken every means to intercept them in case they should attempt to regain it from the waterfront of the city. Daylight was tinting the eastern sky when the mermaid again cautiously showed her eyes above the surface in close proximity to her tow, and, in obedience to a safety signal from the captain of the tug, who had long been watching for her, quickly regained her old position within the capacious pocket of the dumping scow.
Rick in that position.
In the meantime, the lads had recounted their adventures and told of their joyful meeting with General Moranza, together with what Carlos had promised should be done on the following night.
Get it done.
To
Well,
all
now
of-
here you go.
To all of this, the professor gladly agreed, for would it not afford him the longed-for opportunity of testing the powers of his beloved boat to the utmost? Thus, even before regaining her berth in the scow, the mermaid paid a submarine visit to the Spanish transport that was to have borne many a heartbroken exile away from Cuba that day, and so tampered with propeller and steering gear that her date of sailing was certain to be indefinitely postponed. A few hours later, our adventurers watched with intense interest the consternation and bewilderment manifest on the board of the transport, and when it became evident that she could not be moved, began to make active preparations for the coming night.
That's whenever we broke out the whips and chains.
Hey-o.
On the part of the professor, these consisted of in mixing certain chemicals that required the utmost delicacy.
They were
And
running the meth lab
Ew.
inside the submarine.
cook it up, Professor! Carl Baldwin devoted himself to so arranging a number of giant dynamite crackers that they might be
We know about
ignited.
the
Cracker.
crackers.
Who you calling Cracker?
It's awfully damn white in here.
That's just what my 23andMe said, assorted crackers.
That they might be ignited underwater and made to explode on reaching the surface.
That's
While
right.
Carlos
yeah.
spent his time in carrying out a design that he had borne in mind ever since the planning of their expedition.
Only
It was-
explode after you leave the surface.
I've been
Well,
planning
sometimes
to
you need to
explode.
explode outside the water, you
Yeah,
know?
that's just saying.
Yeah.
Because you're so deep that you're just like, I just got to get out of here and explode.
You can explode in both places. It's fine.
It was the preparing for
Not
service
without
of
permission.
2 Cuban flags.
Consent
One.
is important.
One was a transparency fitted with electric wires and made fast to a float that would support it on the surface of the water. This was intended only for night use, while the other, which was of silk with a slender staff of steel,
Oh, the old
That's right.
silver bullet.
was designed to attract attention by daylight.
That's
So we've got
right.
a
I saw
glow
that.
in the
I
dark.
saw it. I saw it.
So we've got a glow in the dark for
Hmm.
night, and we've got a silver bullet for day. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Hey, they're mixing it up there.
They are. I'm proud. It's good.
The explosion closed under their bowels of a giant firecracker.
Shortly before sunset, with everything in readiness for her great venture, the mermaid forsook her snug berth and began to move across the harbor. With the eyes of her turret just awash, and the flag of free Cuba fluttering bravely a foot above the surface of the water, it did not attract attention until it passed slowly within 100 yards of the Spanish battleship Alfonso.
I have no
Night.
clue.
19.
Alfonso 19,
Okay.
when a clamor of voices from her deck announced its discovery. A few minutes later, a boat manned by Spanish bluejackets and commanded by a dapper lieutenant dashed forth in pursuit of the hated emblem. It was easily overtaken, and the officer stretched forth a hand to seize it. As he touched its steel staff, he received an electric shock that caused him to utter a scream of absolute joy. I mean, terror.
I get that a lot.
And fall like one paralyzed in the bottom of his boat. With this little flag proudly displaying its broad stripes of white and blue and a single star on a crimson field, danced away over the placid waters towards another great ship flying the red and yellow ensign of Spain. Again, as the bait taken, but a second boat was sent in pursuit. This time, not only the man who attempted to seize the Cuban emblem numbed as though by a stroke of lightning, but the boat's crew was thrown in a state of wildest panic by the explosion. Close under their bows, a giant firecracker.
Oh. Yeah.
That's you, young.
Isn't it great fun?
Cried
All
Carl
over the
Baldwin,
ceiling.
who was in charge of the diving room, the ventilation, and the explosives.
Kaiser.
Kaiser.
Okay.
It is bewildering.
Answered the professor, without taking his eyes from the pressure gauge that indicated their exact distance below the surface.
At this moment, we have 3 are demonstrating the worthlessness as fighting machines of the world's navies. From this time on, the nations of the earth will be compelled by fear to live in peace with each other.
I wish we could sink just one Spanish ship.
Oh,
Said Carlos Moranza from the engine room.
See.
Of course, we could do it.
replied Professor Rivers.
In fact, we could, within 1 hour's time, destroy every warship in the harbor, but it would be a wicked and cowardly act. No, my boy. We will not harm a single human being in this glorious experiment. At this time, I am perfectly willing to inspire them with wholesome fear.
Just scare 'em like I like 'em. Stiff.
You're so cold, keep your hand in mine.
Always leave 'em wanting more.
By the time darkness had settled over the scene, the entire Spanish fleet was fully aroused.
I know I am.
Ooh.
A cold, stiff one? Come on. You should always do it for you, a cold, stiff one.
News of the mysterious happenings in the harbor had spread to all parts of the city, and General Moranza realized that his powerful friends were already at work.
The Alfonso 19 lay in a glow of diffused light that seemed to come from beneath her very keel.
Arr, schooner.
Yamaha, I
Yes.
pass the torch to you.
Ah, very well.
Arr.
Some 2 hours later, while the officers and crew of the Alfonso the 19th were still discussing with bated breath the recent supernatural appearance of the Cuban emblem, they were startled again by seeing it floating on the surface, but a short distance from them. This time, instead of being a simple silken flag, it was outlined in flames of red, white, and blue. There was a confused shouting of orders, and then the rattling fire of machine guns began to tear through the water just beyond the blazing emblem. With the first sounds of firing had vanished, but a minute later, the Alfonso the 19th lay in a glow of diffused light that seemed to come from beneath her very keel. She took it from below.
Hi, bitch.
Ooh, hey, rewind for a second and say that again, but like slower.
Which part?
She took it from below.
The
Yeah, that was gonna.
Yeah, she took it from below.
Oh, there you go.
That
Okay,
explosive energy.
Oh yeah, Poppy.
That rapidly expanding gas that caused her to splinter.
Just as Squid Pro Quo comes in, and she gets to hear Yamaha about
Squid.
Hey,
Hey.
Welcome,
how's it
Squid
going?
Raiders.
Good to see you.
Nice time to come in. And so it did. For that was the point from which the mermaid was just then operating her 4,000 candle power searchlight. As the Spaniards waited in breathless terror for what should happen next, and fully expecting to be hurled into eternity by some tremendous explosion, a dense volume of sickening smoke arose slowly from the water on both sides of the ship, until she was completely enveloped in its suffocating folds.
Wait a minute. That's referring to someone
Those
else.
are some
You
big
don't
lips
need
wrapping
to
around that
breathe.
shit.
It's a valiant way to die.
The smell is awful.
Valiant way
Get rid of
to
that
die,
smell.
people.
I can tell where it's
Never
sea.
Ever heard of cleanliness is next to godliness?
Throw some flour on it.
In a vain effort to escape
How do you
this
think I found a
terror,
wet spot?
Oh my god.
Your mama's so fat, they had to rub flour on it just to find a wet spot.
Oh, that takes me back. That's awesome.
We're going to hell. We are going.
It's all right.
In a handbasket, hopefully.
Oh God.
Your mama's so fat, she run through the wall and say, "Hey, Kool-Aid."
in a vain effort to escape this terror against which they could not fight, the Spaniards slipped their moorings with the idea of steaming out to sea, but to their dismay, the great screw that should have driven them through the water at a speed of 20 miles an hour refused to move.
Damn.
And the vast bulk of the Alfonso the 19th only drifted helplessly. He was stunned by the screw.
When you drink too much and you're just gonna splash and you're like, splash it. Yeah, you know.
I've never heard that before. Stop
Hey.
teasing me.
Hey, nope. Don't be me. I'm having flashbacks.
I'm having flashbacks. Stop it.
Having flashbacks.
Too close to the truth. Don't say that.
Jack Daniels, if you please. Knock me to my knees.
Now the fiery emblem of free Cuba was again seen moving swiftly from point to point, fired at by ship after ship, disappearing with each shot only to flash out again a moment later in some unexpected quarter. Its erotic course was marked by eddying clouds of pungent smoke and bursts of flame. You need antibiotics for that. Yeah. And loud explosions that threw the whole harbor into an uproar of terror. The panic-stricken ships of Spain dropped their moorings and made desperate efforts to escape from the enemy that they could neither see nor fight, but which seemed to hold them at its mercy. Some of them could not move, others could not be steered, and all drifted helplessly, colliding with one another, running aground, blinding each other with flashing searchlights that incessantly swept the black waters in every direction, and filled with terrified men who implored the saints to save them.
Oh, Lord, help us.
Man, they threw the whole harbor into an uproar of terror.
My God.
I missed that other part.
It's okay.
Nor was the alarm confined to these, but it spread to the city, where in every quarter church bells rang madly, drums sounded their quick calls to arms, trumpets blared, masses of people poured through every avenue leading to the waterfront, and Havana
Sound like Metallica concert.
Yeah, and Havana was dominated by such a reign of terror as its history had never known. While the confusion was at its height, a heavy firing from the south announced an insurgent attack, and with the general call for troops that followed, even the military guards of the prisons were temporarily pressed into service.
What?
How many more of these do we have, Shizzy? Do you know? Do I need to
No,
pass
this
on?
will. Let me see.
As long as you want to.
Oh, I don't care. I just wanted to.
No, we can.
Oh, okay.
Let's,
We're almost towards the end.
We're almost done.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Where was I?
No, too far.
No, too far.
Oh,
Keep it.
okay.
Go down.
Well, I'll pass it off so that Miss Nocturna and then Kaiser could probably finish this out then, because there's not enough.
Okay.
So.
At 5 minutes before midnight, as marked by Carlos Moranza's watch, the cause of all his turmoil slipped unnoticed into the dock of the fish market and lay motionless with her low turret rising above the surface. At exactly
I didn't get to read my part about the stroke of midnight.
Stroke of midnight. At exactly the stroke of midnight.
Stroke.
Yes.
The
Say it to
young
me.
Cuban closed his watch with a snap and listened eagerly to the rapidly approaching rattle of wheels. Then a carriage dashed through the crowds lining the waterfront and staring like so many bewildered moths at the flashing searchlights of the warships. As it drew up sharply at the head of the dock, a man in a uniform of a Spanish general leaped from it and quickly followed by a slender youth because they got caught, apparently a mere boy, also in uniform.
Luckily.
Do you want
I can go on.
It don't matter. We can go back and forth. I don't care if you want to read too. I don't care.
Whatever you
I'll
want to do.
finish it. Don't matter. You've been doing voices too. I can finish it if you want me to. It don't matter.
Okay.
Okay. At this moment, the whole scene was suddenly illumined. Illumined? Yeah,
Illumined.
okay.
Yeah.
By a glare of light that seemed to come from the very waters of the dark, and a great cry arose from the spectators as they fell back in affright. Only 2 men dared press forward, the Spanish general and his aide. These stood for a moment on the very edge of the stone coping. Then the lad seemed to slip down into the water. As he disappeared, the general, waving his plumed chapeau,
Plumed chapeau.
plumed chapeau high above his head, uttered a loud cry of "Viva Cuba Libre!" and sprang under his companion. Okay, he's at bottom. All right. Or you go ahead. So, there's a little bit more than I thought there was. Go ahead.
Okay. More than half an hour later, the little mermaid was slipping swiftly through unseen beneath the very walls of the Moro Castle and out of Havana Harbor. In her tiny cabin, Katina Moranza, weak with reaction and from a terrible strain of the past few days, lay sobbing in her brother's arms and striving to tell of her blessed deliverance from the horrors of La Jacoba. At the same time, General Moranza stood beside Professor Rivers and watched with wondering admiration his conning of the most powerful battleship the world had ever known. 2 miles out to sea, they found their tug that, with its tow, had managed to take advantage of the dire confusion of the Havana harbor to leave it unnoticed. Here the mermaid took the last dive of her eventful cruise, and in another minute was once more safely ensconced within the dumping scow.
Deep inside.
10 days later, a clumsy tow, with the real object of its long voyage still unsuspected, moving slowly up the Delaware River, and came to anchor off of Baldwin shipyard. In answer to the chaff of acquaintances as rallied him on the folly of trying to sell a dumping scow to the Spaniards in Havana, the captain of the tug was wont to say,
Yes, it is true. I failed to sell the scow, but I made $5,000 out of the trip on its own.
Professor Rivers is equally satisfied with the success of this venture, and so, of course, is Carlos Moranza. As for Carl Baldwin, he made the home voyage in a state of delightful bewilderment.
Oh,
That
that's
is
me.
you.
Ah, yes. Why didn't you tell me, West, that your sister, instead of being a mere child, as I was led to suppose, was the very loveliest, the most beautiful girl in the world? That bitch. That skank.
Whore.
And he
Actually
broke
sprang
it.
after his introduction
He was
to
stroking
Katina,
the left, and he was
Because-
stroking to the right.
answered Carlos Moranza, who had hitherto only seen the young lady in question through the eyes of a brother.
I didn't know she was.
That's the end.
That is the end of that.
Yeah, that's all, folks.
And-
That's all. folks.
It's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Aye.
Well, that was interesting. We got a lot of pent-up energy released.
Yes.
A
Yes.
couple of weeks
Why?
that we were
I was
gone.
going to say, sounds like Christmas holiday has been a lot less eventful for you guys than it has been for me.
Well, it's kind of like this. It's kind of like
Yeah.
this. you start reading some of these some of this literature and you can just hear the pent-up sexual frustration.
I know.
Oh yeah.
Especially during the Victorian period, some of those pieces, it's like, oh, we know what you're getting at there. That's right. That's right.
Yes. Yes. I want to say thanks for all of my fun guests for coming by and joining in on this adventure. And as you know, this is we're getting close on the Yule tide and Dictionary Diva, what is it about Yule that everybody finds so interesting? It's something about a pagan holiday.
Yule.
It is. So the Druids, now any historians out there, correct me, because I'm going to be completely
Hey,
wrong.
the pagans.
Hi, the pagans. But they celebrated the wheel of the year, and so Yuletide was the end of the wheel and the beginning of the wheel to turn into the next direction.
Yes.
And that was marked with some festivities that carried over into modern day, like the tree,
Yule
the Yule log, the candles, the lighting of different things. It was meant to it was just a celebration for the end of the year.
It's a celebration.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Aqualus!
Aqualus!
Aqualus! Aqualus, get back in here! Put the water on that shit!
And for those of you that don't know, that is one of the earliest stories that we did, and that's why Aqualus is part of our whole thing. He's there.
Legend of Aqualus.
This
Man, let me tell you.
Aqualus.
Makes me wonder where Aqualus is at now.
Man,
Aqualus is somewhere inside Sea Swept. I just
Sea Swept knows. Sea Swept knows exactly where Aqualus is.
You can feel him every moment of her life. And I will say that this has been a really good adventure for the past year. The following year is going to be even more grandiose and more crazy. I look forward to spending much, much more time with these fine people that I have on panel today. And there will be others that come floating in and floating out.
Crap, we got to come back.
We're coming back.
I thought this was the end of my contract.
I thought it was the season
Damn
was
it.
done.
You know what they say? Some turds just won't flush. So
If you
we always
think
somehow
now,
seem to
wait until 2025.
stay at the top.
It just keeps floating and floating.
Yeah, we just keep
It just
floating
won't
around.
go down.
Need to cut the fat out of your diet.
2025 will lend for some wonderful opportunities, and I will say that I am most pleased to have the acquaintance of all the people in this panel. They have made this year a very glorious year for Sundays, and for other days of the week that we won't discuss. We have to be very quiet about those. And look forward to more of this on every Sunday. We do this, and if you happen to miss the Sunday streams, just know that you can always come back. You can rewatch them, and we have them all listed up there on the spicy chat in just one whole stream. And you can also find it on Spotify if you're just like, I don't feel like watching
find it on
YouTube.
Spotify. There was one day I was like, is Shizzy on Spotify? And I was like, son of a gun. He's on
Son of a beast.
Son of a gun. He's on Spotify.
Yes, it is on Spotify. I've yet to upload the past few episodes because I have been really out of it and just busy with everything else going on. But I do thank all of my panel here, like with my deepest amount of thanks that I can possibly give, because you guys have really made this like one of the most enjoyable years that I've had so far.
Well, Shizzy, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, it's fun.
I don't know if I speak for everybody here, but I definitely speak for myself. You have given us a platform, all of us up here, to be able to just have fun and try out different things, different voices, maybe even stuff we didn't even know we had.
Yeah.
And it has been an absolute blast this year because in case any of y'all don't know it, this is different from anything else on YouTube. And I've seen people try to recreate it, and they can't because of the collective that we have up here. Yeah. So I just wanted to say thank you to you for being able to provide this platform for us to be able to do this.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
I
very
have to
cool.
say that. I've had a lot of fun doing this.
Yeah. It is the most fun with an accidental creation that we have ever had. And I mean, this was just a something that came out of a random live stream. And I'm just so unbelievably proud to be a part of this. I am super happy that you guys, Shizzy especially, gracious enough to allow me to be here, trying out what we do. And I mean, it has been nothing short of a massive net positive in my life, especially, the Randy Savage voice, all that other stuff, all that crazy things that we've done. I didn't have that a year ago. It was just kind of like stuff that I came up with because of the show. And there's so many more things that it's influenced for me, especially. So I am extremely grateful to all of y'all, to Shizzy, and to the entirety of the chat, because the show wouldn't happen without the chat. Let's be real.
Yeah.
So the chat, you guys are the real MVP.
I don't know. I would probably still get online and act a fool.
I probably would too. But I wouldn't have as nearly as much.
I would probably still do this. And then if people happen to watch, it'd be awesome. But I'm so glad that because the chat, everyone seems to enjoy this. And, that makes it so much more fulfilling to do all of my personalities out in the open.
Yeah.
Believe me, there's a lot.
There's so many.
And that's why I enjoy going back and watching after we're done, after it's generated and everything. And the live chat pops up. I enjoy it because we miss so much of the chat because we're constantly, reading or doing whatever.
Right.
And so I enjoy going back and reading through the chat and seeing their reactions and some of their comments. It's just freaking hilarious. And, it's been fun. I've appreciated and been very proud to be a part of this as well, and having you guys let me in here or invite me in and do this and act like an idiot. And I concur with Volstorm. I have found, Shizzy has brought things to my attention and to my light that antibiotics just can't solve. But,
no matter how hard you try, no matter how many times they tell you at the free clinic, sir, we cannot clear this up for you.
Antibiotics only go so far, and then you just get into MRSA and all kinds of shit. So, but it's been very fun. Yeah.
Thank you guys. And we will see you guys next Sunday next year.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, there is going to be so much going on.
That's a whole year away, Shizzy.
Yeah.
I know.
So far.
Next year.
So far.
So far. But we look forward to the Sunday nights. And as I said, come back and watch it on a rewatch, and you'll see why this has been so successful. And it's because of all of the fine people that come in here and lend their voices, and all of the chat that make it even much more fun, because even though we're not looking at you right away, we do go back, we do watch, and we watch your reactions to it, and just watching the amount of humor that you get out of it. And it is a good break away from just the humdrum of what YouTube is, where everybody's involved in drama and issues and
bullshit.
Bullshit. There
just
you
freedom.
go.
It's freedom to just be.
Right. And this is the place where you get to fly that there free flag. You get to
yes,
hey.
Yes, girl.
If it wasn't for this, I will say, guys, I know that I come off pretty spicy, and I can be. But if it wasn't for this channel and Miss Diva, you wouldn't get to see my spiciness, which you will get to see more of soon. But this is new for me. And I'm learning, and I like it, and I love this. This has been great for me. It's been great for my personality.
Let me just tell you, this is the only place where the pudding plops flow like wine while you're doing your picture pages.
I am a saucy little kitten, I swear, but some not always, okay? But we're learning.
And it's and the place here is to be allow people to be as spicy or as there. We don't put a limit on what you can say. You just as long as you're not threatening somebody else, which I have never seen anybody do in this chat. So
I don't think I have either.
It tends to be just like the most chill place that you can come, hang out, have fun, and there's no there. If anybody ever starts any crap in chat, then they just get shunned away like really quickly.
Shame.
This is probably
Shame.
as one of Shizzy's mods. This is the only place where I don't have to worry about modding.
Right?
No,
because believe me, in his other shows, I gotta cut a bitch, but
just
not
a few
here.
times.
Just a few times. One in particular.
Yes, that was. I think you got too much of a thrill out of that.
No, I did. I loved it.
People loved it.
Everybody slobbering and chomping at the bit. The
It's like,
dam
come
could
on, give
no
me a
longer
reason.
hold.
There it is.
And the finger right above the fire button.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm just waiting, motherfucker.
I know you're gonna screw up. I just know it. There it is.
Bear hammer incoming.
Everybody have a happy new year, and wherever we see you at, just give us a warm welcome, because we do this out of the love of doing it more than anything else in the world. Thank you very much, and we will see you next year.